about to begin, make sure that your microphone is on mute when you're not speaking, and the live streaming on YouTube will be started right now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, best wishes to all of us. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, greetings of kindness. His Excellency Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Heru Pambudi SELLM, the Honorable Chairman of Finance Profession Supervisory Center, Mr. Firman Shah and Nazaruddin, aka AMCI CA, and welcome to our three honorable speakers for today. 1. Mrs. Dr. Nurmazilah Datuk Mahzan, the Chief Executive Officer of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. 2. Mr. Assistant Professor Tirachai Arun Ruang Siredet, PhD CPA, the Vice President of Federation of Accounting Profession, Thailand. 3. Mrs. Leti Tuyatnung, CPA, the Deputy General Director, Accounting and Auditing Supervisory Department, Ministry of Finance of Vietnam. Last but not least, good morning to all of the honorable participants. Welcome to Accountancy Monitoring Committee Indonesia online seminar, ASEAN CPA, Great Opportunities to Succeed in ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let us thank God because of the opportunity that is given to us so we can meet in this special occasion at the best condition. Secondly, let me introduce myself. My name is Ima. I'm from Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, and it's such a big honor for me to be a master of ceremony for today's event. This event is being run in collaboration between the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia through the Finance Profession Supervisory Center and Accountancy Monitoring Committee Indonesia. We are using Zoom webinar platform and it is also broadcast live in YouTube, Pusat Pembinaan Profesi Keuangan Kemenq and Sekretariat Jenderal Kemenq RI. The honorable audience, before we start the webinar, let me outline some rundowns of today's event. The first is opening. The second is singing national anthem of Indonesia Raya. The third is keynote speech from the Chancellor of AMCI. And the fourth is the main agenda. It is online seminar ASEAN CPA, Great Opportunities to Succeed in ASEAN. The fifth is speech from the head of AMCI, followed by launching of AMCI's new website and logo. And the last is closing. Dear participants, the following ceremony would be singing the national anthem of Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. Thank you very much, and please have a seat. Dear audience, now we continue to the next agenda. Allow me to welcome the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia as the Counselor of AMCI to deliver the keynote speech. For Mr. Heru Pambudi, SE LLM, time is yours.
Thank you, Ima. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you. Honorable speakers, Dr. Nur Mazila Dato Mahzan, CEO of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. Good morning, Dato. Honorable Professor Tirachai Arun Ruang Sirilat, PhD CPA. Honorables Ms. Liti Tuyetno, Honorables my colleagues Pak Firman, Head of the Accountancy Monitoring Committee Indonesia or AMCI, and also Head of Finance Supervision Supervisory Centers MOF Indonesia, Honorables members of AMCI, members of Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountant or EIAI, members of Indonesian Institute of Certified Public Accountant, IAPI, and honorables members of Indonesia Institute of Management Accountant, and distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honors and privilege to speak to you in this very important event with theme ASEAN CPA, Great Opportunities to Succeed in ASEAN. And I'd like to also to thank the committee who held this event. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with something that we already signed some years ago. As we all aware that ASEAN members have signed the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Accountancy Service, we sometimes call the MRA or on Accountancy Service, we signed a couple of years ago. And one of the points on that arrangement or agreement is we should have the equalizations of competence and expertise of professional accountants. I think this is one of the arrangement that we already signed and agree on that occasions. And following up to that arrangement or that MRA, the provision of ASEAN CPA equalization has started since 2017 until now. And as we see on that tables that we have already 502,081 members or holders of ASEAN CPA, and consists of Indonesia with 1,922 holders, and then followed by Malaysia, Singapore, and so on. And with these large numbers of holders, it doesn't mean that the journey and what aspired in the MRA on the accountancy service has been completed. It means that we have another duty to do or to accomplish the objective of the MRA. Ladies and gentlemen, this is only the beginning or one of the stages of the whole process in the MRA on accountancy service. In realizing the economic progress of its members that had been aspired since the establishment of ASEAN long time ago in 1967. And furthermore, based on the MRA, Article number 1, the objective of the MRA, we can see on the slide that we have 3 objectives. Number 1 is to facilitate mobility of accountancy services professionals across ASEAN member states. The objective number 2 is to enhance the current regime for the provisions of accountancy service in the ASEAN member states and to exchange information in order to promote adoption of best practices on standard and qualifications. And regarding to the first objective, which is the mobility, it is known that until now, the realization of mobilization using MRA on accountancy service has not been implemented in all ASEAN member states. And it is included in Indonesia. Therefore, through this meeting, which was follow up the implementation of the first ASEAN CPA conference held in Bali, 2019, Indonesia, now we again held socialization in the form of an online seminar as a means of exchange information in order to promote adoption of best practice on standard qualification to realize the intended mobilizations, especially to find out accounting practice in other countries in ASEAN member states. Also, we want to see the ASEAN CPA career opportunity in each particular country. We also want to see the process of registered foreign professional accountant or RFPA in each speaker's country, and strategy to become a successful ASEAN CPA. And again, through this seminar, it is hoped that it can become a milestone for us together in realizing the mobilization of professionals, accountants in providing service to all member states. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to realize the mobilization of professional accountant in providing service in AMS, as regulated in the MRA, a professional accountant who is an ASEAN citizen and has fulfilled the required qualification and experiences may apply to become an ASEAN Chartered Professional Accountant or ASEAN CPA, and thereafter can be registered in other ASEAN countries as foreign professional accountants or RFPA. As RFPA, they must collaborate with local accountants through accountant professional bodies that are recognized by the country and comply with domestic regulations of the host country. It should be noted that the implementation of the provision of service by ASEAN CPA holders is not the practice of being independent. Although it in practice that require domestic licensing in ASEAN member states, it can continue to be facilitated through bilateral MRA among ASEAN member states. The RFPA scheme and flow, as described in these presentations, you can see on the slide, has long been planned even before the issuance of ASEAN CPA certifications. However, current conditions shows that almost all member states express the same difficulties regarding the harmonizations of the RFPA scheme with national regulation that had existed before the MRA took place or signed. ASEAN, as an intergovernmental organization, has a unique way of making agreement and form of cooperation. Of course, this adds to its own challenges for AMS in implementing new regulations, which has an impact on slow implementation of the labor mobility of ASEAN CPA to be able to work in ASEAN member states. The slow pace of harmonizing the national regulation of a country and the bureaucracy faced by its AMS contribute to the technical ambiguity of the implementation of RFPA in a country, including the practice here in Indonesia. Apart from mobilization problem that AMS is currently working in ASEAN countries, we realize that the presence of MRA on accountancy service will certainly open a bigger market for all ASEAN CPA holders, that they can expand or give service to other countries. In addition, the presence of MRA can also have other positive impact through the multiplier effect on foreign investment that will increase in the ASEAN member state countries, since the qualification of ASEAN CPA have complied with international standard. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to convey that besides mobilization across ASEAN countries, increasing competency and role of professional accountant among ASEAN member countries also become the strategic goal of MRA. From the current fact, we know that there is still a big gap on competency and number of accountants of ASEAN CPA holders among AMS. Level of understanding and implementation of international standards, namely International Financial Reporting Standard and International Standard on Auditing, varied from amongst the countries. To tackle this issue, cooperation and collaborations on capacity building among AMS are highly expected to improve the competency and number of professional accountants in ASEAN member countries. Thus, can decreasing gap amongst the countries. Improvement in competency, number of professional accountants, and implementation of international standard in the long term will accelerate the economy of ASEAN as a whole. We know clearly that professional accountants have important roles in creating conducive and trusted environment for business and investment. Those, at the same time, will enhance the economic growth in the ASEAN member states. Ladies and gentlemen, now, with regard to the competency, I would like to emphasize that professional accountants must have technical and analytical qualifications, and also ability to adapt to IT development. Quoting the result of research conducted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, in a study entitled Has COVID-19 Changed Work Forever? It is known that almost all businesses, as much as 90%, based on that study, they conclude that working life to be different in the future compared to the period before the pandemic. In this study, it was also explained that one of the positive impacts on the world of work during the pandemic was an acceleration in digital transformations. I think we all agree that during the pandemic, we know we suddenly have to familiar with all gadget, with all IT, with all anything related to the digital environment. And I think this is one of the positive impact of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, in the era of digitalization and globalizations that we face today, we encourage the professional accountants to utilize the technology, especially in responding the current pandemic situation. Based on the global survey of accounting professionals conducted by Smartfall last year on April, related to impact of COVID-19, on more than 1,100 accountants across 18 countries, it is known that first, the majority of firms, as much as 62%, who felt they are responding to COVID-19 successfully were more likely to be using cloud-based technology, something that is not familiar before, even to me. Particularly cloud-based document management and online client portal. Maybe we experienced that before pandemic, we always hold the flash disk, for example, to store our file. Now, most of us already understand and familiar that we don't have to bring our flash disk anymore because we can store online or on using cloud-based technology. The second point from that study, that firms which identified themselves as being less successful in their response to the pandemic are putting more energy into incorporating new technology to enable remote work and communication with team members and clients. So based on that study, I would like to underline that this crisis accelerates us in implementing Industry 4.0. With earlier adoption of information technology, several accounting firms can easily and quickly make adjustment to their work business process so that there are no obstacles in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Through this webinar, I again invite the audience to start adapting to the use of information technology, especially for accountants to prepare and continue to adopt the technology, to technological advance, including adjustment to business processes in carrying out their work. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I say our expectations is in this webinar can provide inspirations and insight for all of the participants in carrying out your duties at your institution or corporate, which in the end will simultaneously bring a positive impact on improving the economic growth among us AMS. To close my speech, I will read one quote from Jules Arthur Barker, "Going back to zero," that hopefully can spur our spirit. As a result of the paradigm shift, the standard way of doing business can become obsolete or irrelevant. Therefore, enjoy the webinar and may Allah, the Almighty God, bless our life. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for the enlightening speech, Mr. Heru Pambudi. Before continuing your schedule, could you please to stay for a moment, sir? We are going to take a picture together. So to all panelists in Zoom webinar, please turn on the camera, strike a pose, give me your best smile, and we are going to capture for the documentation. Okay, everybody ready? I'll count up to 3. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Okay, we're done. Thank you. For Mr. Heru Pambudi, it was great to have you here. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to attend this webinar and deliver a wonderful opening remark today. We understand that you have a very tight schedule, so with all due respect, we invite you to leave this webinar and continue your agenda.
Thank you, Ima.
Thank
And
you, Pak. Thank you, Pak Heru.
Dr. Nur, Prof. Terry, and Ms. Nung, thank you very much once again for joining these webinars. And I apologize that I cannot attend until the end of these sessions because I have another agendas. And once again, thank you. I hope everything is going well and have succeed and a very get a good result of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Heru. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Pak Sekjen.
Thank you.
Dear participants, as we finished our opening, now we come into the main point, that is online seminar. Before we start this agenda, let me inform you that during the webinar, participants can ask questions in either English or Bahasa Indonesia by using the Q&A feature in Zoom or Slido by accessing the link as shared on screen. It's a useful link because by opening this link, you can ask questions, filling in the survey, and downloading the presentation material. As I mentioned before, the theme of this webinar is ASEAN CPA, with opportunities to succeed in ASEAN. This session will be led by our moderator, Ms. Dania Ainurosa. For your information, she is the staff of Accounting Profession Compliance Subdivision, Finance Profession Supervisory Center, and she is also a member of the Secretariat of AMCI. Okay, without further ado, for Ms. Dania Ainurosa, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ima, for the introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this webinar today. This webinar is organized by the Accountancy Monitoring Committee Indonesia, or AMCI, Finance Profession Supervisory Center, and the Ministry of Finance of Indonesia. AMCI was formed based on the mandate of the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement on Accountancy Services, which states that each ASEAN member country must form an accountancy monitoring committee. The exclusive recognition for professional accountants in ASEAN and the potential of the ASEAN market as one of the world's fastest growing emerging market services will broaden the opportunity for ASEAN CPA holders to do business in ASEAN. Furthermore, to expand the horizon of ASEAN CPA holders, it is necessary to share knowledge about accounting practices, career opportunities, and strategies to become a successful ASEAN CPA. Today's webinar is the first step to gather knowledge about accounting practices from various countries in ASEAN. On this occasion, AMCI will present experienced speakers from Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam to share knowledge on how to become a successful ASEAN CPA. Before the presentation begin, allow me to greet our speakers today. Good morning, Dr. Numazilah Datuk Mahzan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Assistant Professor Teracha Arun Rangsrilar.
Good morning.
And good morning, Ms. Letty Tiet Nung. How are you today? I hope everyone is safe and healthy wherever we are. I'd also like to inform some housekeeping for today's webinar. First, participants are eligible to obtain a certificate only by filling out a form through a link that we have shown earlier. And you will be asked to fill in one keyword, which I will mention in the middle of the discussion. So please make sure to follow this webinar until the end to get the keyword. And second, we will divide this discussion into two sessions. In the first session, we will have presentations from our speakers for approximately 30 minutes for each speaker. And after each speaker finished his or her presentation, we will have a Q&A session. For participants who want to submit a question, please write your question along with your name, institution, and country, and also to whom your question is addressed through the link that was shown earlier by the MC. And now our first speaker is Dr. Nurmazilah Datuk Mahzan from Malaysia. Dr. Nurmazilah has a PhD in accounting from the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. And currently, she is the Chief Executive Officer of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, a member of the Framework Review Panel of the International Integrated Reporting Council, or IIRC, a technical advisor of the Public Accountants in Business, or PAIB Advisory Group of the International Federation of Accountants, or IFAC. And she is also a member of MIA and MICPA, an ASEAN CPA, a CGMA Fellow, a Certified Internal Auditor, or CIA, and she holds the Certified Risk Management and Assurance, or CRMA qualification. Without further ado, let's listen to the presentation from Dr. Nurmazilah Datuk Mahzan. Dr. Nurmazilah, the screen is yours for 30 minutes, please.
Yeah. So thank you, Dania, and I need your help to flash the slides on my behalf. Okay, so Assalamualaikum, good morning, and I hope selamat siang, yeah, and I hope everyone in the audience are doing good, and I hope we are going to have a very good discussion today. It's really my pleasure to be here together with our colleagues from Thailand and also from Vietnam, because I think we've been having a lot of good discussions in the past on the ASEAN economic and the opportunity for ASEAN accountants to contribute to the growth of ASEAN economic and to also achieve the objective of ASEAN Economic Community and the MRA that we have signed to liberalize the professional services within the 10 members of ASEAN, and to also share more knowledge and skills within the accountancy professionals in the 10 ASEAN countries. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so Malaysian Institute of Accountants is actually regulated by the Accountants Act 1967. It is formed by Ministry of Finance, and our role is actually to regulate because we register accountants in Malaysia and develop the accountancy profession in Malaysia. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so although our main function is to regulate the accounting profession, we do a lot of initiative to ensure that the accountancy profession is relevant and sustainable and continue to support the decision makers, continue to support not only the businesses but also the public interest, and also continue to support the society. Because we know very well that the role of the accounting function is very important in any types of organization, whether it is business organization or government-based organization, or even social organizations such as NGOs and even our religious community organization. So the role of accountants are very important, and this is where I think together within the spirit of ASEAN Economic Community, we would like to enhance the accountancy profession in ASEAN. Next slide. So in Malaysia, we call those who are registered with the Malaysian Institute of Accountants as chartered accountants. And at the moment, we do have, eligibility criteria to be registered as chartered accountant within the Accountants Act and within our membership and council rules 1972. So let's see. Okay, now if you look at this slide, generally we have 4 categories of members. They work in 4 categories of sector. So first is the public practice, about 23%. And then for commerce and industry, we have about 66%. So many of those registered with MIE, they work in commerce industry, about 66% of them. And we have in public sector, in government, about 9%. And another 2% are mainly academics, those who work in Institute of Higher Learning. So in Malaysia, the public practice is governed by the Act, the rules, and the bylaw. So in Malaysia, to provide public practice, which means that if you want to operate an accountancy or auditing firms, first you have to be a member of MIE. And then after that, you have to apply for practicing certificate for you to enable you to operate a firm. And in addition to that, if the member intends, to provide services which are regulated, such as audit, taxation, liquidation, and company secretarial services, then they would be required to hold licenses from the relevant regulators, which is the Ministry of Finance and also within the jurisdiction of Companies Commission of Malaysia. So members in public practice may set up a firm, and most common form is that either the sole proprietorship or partnership or limited liability partnership. Okay, so if you just want to offer accountancy services, you don't need a license. You just need to have a what we call practicing cert with MIE. So those services that need licenses would be audit, taxation, liquidation, and company secretarial services. So can we go to the next slide? Right. So this is what we call the initiative on developing the profession, to ensure that whoever are registered and call themselves chartered accountants, they have the knowledge and skill sets that are relevant to serve the organization or the company that they work with. Okay, and MIE provide also technical assistance to all its members from various type of matters, such as on practice, for example, on standards, bylaw, guidelines, and then technical information affecting the profession, such as the climate change, the Companies Act, and all that. And we run a lot of program. I think in a year, we conduct more than 700 types of trainings to all for the benefit of all our members. And actually, about 40% of attendees are also non-members, So our trainings are available not only for members, but also available for non-members. This is to ensure that members and also the accountancy professionals and its community are continually updated and competent to meet the requirements of the profession. Okay, and the topics that we offer range on latest development and issue. Maybe there are a lot of technical training for accountancy support. So we do have a lot of training on accounting standards, on auditing standards, and we also run case study based training on certain accounting standards that are very important, such as MFRS 15 or IFRS 15. And we also have training such as digital leadership. One of the training, I think following what Sec Jan mentioned about the importance of technology. So in MIE, we come up with what we call a professional certificate in digital leadership, because we noticed that accountants may not be the one that will probably come up with the app, but they need to have the digital leadership, the leadership skills to pursue or to lead the digital initiative. We also run training on ESG leadership, on environmental, social, and governance leadership, for sustainability, on integrated reporting, on taxation also. And these are all very important to support accountability and trust. And one of our flagship event is MIA International Accountants Conference. So can we go to the next slide? I will share about this MIA International Accountants Conference. And we would like to invite everyone, because our conference will happen on 8 to 10 of June 2021. And this year, we're bringing the theme on navigating a sustainable future with agility and resilience. We chose this theme because first we talk about sustainability, sustainable future and sustainability agenda. And I think this is also not just about climate. It goes beyond that, because it also covers in terms of our relevance, whether we have a skill sets to continue to provide the service. And then also, of course, climate change is very important. But other than that, in the condition like pandemic, like COVID-19, are we agile and resilient? So we would like to nurture accountants to have that agility and resilience skill sets. So this conference will be organized for 3 days, and this is the first ever virtual conference that we have. So anyone can actually join from anywhere. And it aims to equip accountants with all the knowledge of business sustainability, climate sustainability, and digital sustainability. Because digital sustainability is also important, as we can see during COVID-19. We are only able to connect through digital. So a lot of our connection and our communication need to be done digitally. And therefore, the sustainability, digital sustainability is also important. And our goal is also to help accountants to be more agile, more resilient, and prepared to navigate the disruptive and volatile landscape of COVID-19 new normal. So I would like to also share that the latest, global risk report by World Economic Forum has cited that the three, I think, highest risks that we are facing now are related to climate change. And that report also mentioned that they have actually highlighted about, about pandemic, about health pandemic, way back in 2016. And every year they mentioned about health pandemic and the possibility that health pandemic may probably stop us from traveling. So that was highlighted in almost every year of the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report. And true enough, it has happened in 2020. So that's where I think recognizing risk is also very important. So apart from this conference, we do have a lot more events to upskill the accountancy professional. So next slide. So these are actually the what we call the guidance that we issued out to all accountants. First we have MIA competency framework. So MIA competency framework actually provide, the baseline competency. So in a way, it provides information on what is a DNA, what are the skill sets that you need to have to, to become a competent accountant. And then we also have competency framework for CFO and finance function. And this is focusing on those working in private sector, in companies. If you are going to be a CEO and even in your finance function, for example, it's a public listed, in your finance function, you need to have different types of people with different types of skills, and they need all the skill sets, and there has to be system and process. So in this guidance, it is actually giving advocacy and and also knowledge in terms of setting up a very strong finance function of public listed, and we have another guidance in terms of the skill sets needed for CFO. And this guidance also helps the directors, the CEO, to find the right resources, or to provide the right resources, and to find the best CFO for their organization. The third publication that we have is on MIA Digital Technology Blueprint. We issued this in 2018, and this blueprint is a result of years of observation and research and data collection, where since 2015, when we discussed on technology, we saw that the accountancy professionals, they are aware, but their knowledge is bit and pieces. They probably heard about blockchain and they are interested. They heard about AI and they are interested, but providing a connectivity and context to their own organization is where they probably have a challenge. So we came up with Digital Technology Blueprint, and which provides as again a framework for all accountants to more or less be guided with. We provide 5 principles in this technology blueprint. And the fourth one, this is for eConfirm.my. This is actually for public practice for all the audit firms. I mean, if you are auditors, among all the participants, any of you are auditors, did you remember, where when you part of the, the audit process, you have to send bank confirmation to confirm the amount in the bank balance. So I was an auditor more than 20 years ago, and I remember during those time, I have to write all the details of the accounts number, and I have to send it by post, and then I have to wait for the reply by post as well. So we've seen this still happening. So what we did is we did our research since 2015, and to find a solution to have an online bank confirmation. It's a lot of engagement, many engagement, a lot of hard work, and we find a provider. Actually, we tender out, and we managed to find a provider to provide this platform. And we have to work with the Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara. We have to work with many banks, and we have to also have a working group among the auditors. And we launched this in 2019. And now we have about 20 of Malaysian banks, not only Malaysian, also international banks, which actually joined this platform. And we have about 700 firms who are already registered. So now they just need to key in the bank account number, and then the bank will receive that request, and they will then reply with the confirmation. So it's now done online. And this is, I think, one of the big initiatives that we roll out in order to bring the profession towards digital utilization. And we now are trying to get more banks to actually join us, so that all confirmation with those banks can be done online. So, and finally, we have one of our major initiative is this is IFRS for SME, and we actually came up with digital ebook for IFRS for SME. So it is more interactive. There inside the ebook, while you're reading, you can click the video. While you're reading, you can listen to discussions and all that, listen to interview. So that is the digital ebook that we came out with. Right. Yeah. So next slide. Right. This is the MIA integrated report, and the MIA integrated report has been released since 2017. So this is our 4th integrated report, and we changed the way we communicate in our annual report. In the past, our annual report comprised of information about meetings, about events, but now we follow the integrated reporting framework, where we actually articulate, we explain the value proposition, we explain the 6 capital that we have. So it is not just financial capital. So we also, within the IR framework, we also recognize, networking, intellectual capital also as part of those resources. And then from there, we show how we come up with our strategic direction, our strategic plan in achieving our strategic objective. And we also show our risk, our output, our outcome, and the value to each of the stakeholders. And therefore, the more understanding about the how we are doing our work and more understanding on how we provide value to the public interest, to the members, and to the businesses as well as to government. So we show how we provide value to many stakeholders, and including our internal stakeholders such as the employees. So the integrated report is also a topic where MIA is very passionate with, and we have in MIA what we call Integrated Reporting Steering Committee, and they promote to the businesses. So in Malaysia now, there are more than 100 public listed companies that have published their annual report based on integrated reporting framework. And this is where I'm also, a member of the framework review panel of the International Integrated Reporting Council. And there's a lot more, I think, exciting discussion on the integrated reporting and the way forward. And that discussion will happen during MIA conference. So we have about 3 sessions discussing on integrated report. Next slide. Okay, I would like to share with you the MIA Digital Technology Blueprint video. So probably have a breather, sit and relax, and let us watch this video. If we have more time, I can discuss more about the digital technology blueprint and the 5 principles. So basically, maybe I hope I can share quickly because this is important to all of us, in whether in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in Thailand, or in Vietnam, or in any country. There are 5 principles really that we need to assess in our organization. First is, are we aware of what technology that we have around us? Is our organization aware? Secondly, if you are aware, and then do you have capacity? So we talk about AI. Anyone in your organization that knows AI? We talk about analytics. Have you trained your staff to be able to provide good analysis and to harness analytics? So third is to start adopting. Have a small step, a plan, a long-term plan that you adopt bit by bit. you don't have to do it, in one big initiative, but you need to start moving and start adopting. That is to consciously put your budget. So budget is very important, and that's what we ask, all organization out there. What is the percentage of your budget relate to technology? And is it 10% or less than 10% or 20%? So that also is important to gauge how far we are embracing. Okay. And fifth is the governance. What is the governance that you put in on technology adoption and transformation? And that governance is very important. It's also about the person leading and driving the technology adoption. And I think digital sustainability is very important. And Sekjen also mentioned very much on technology just now. So you can download this from our website. I can give you the link on the chat. Next slide. Okay. Sorry. Okay. This is about
excuse me, Mazila. You have 5 more minutes to wrap up.
Yes, I can go through a bit more. So this is about the 5 minutes. Yeah, I'll finish this. We have about 37,000 registered accountants, and we have all accountants are also serving our PLC, and in terms of small and medium enterprise, about 900,000. And we also have micro enterprise, about few millions. And next, and the ratio in Malaysia among in terms of the accountant against the population, out of 880 people in Malaysia, we have one accountant. I think in Singapore is one out of 175, there's one accountant, and in Hong Kong is one or to ratio of 161. So in Malaysia, we are still short of accountants based on this ratio compared to the developed economy. Next, career opportunities. So I think if you are, the skill sets that are needed, first is like your skill set in terms of the accounting standard, MFRS, IFRS. And in Malaysia, there's also a high demand on those who are able to carry out the integrated reporting knowledge, and also high demand in terms of knowledge on climate, ESG, and sustainability. So we are actually bringing this skill set to accountants so that we are also expanding their career opportunities. Now we also have accountants who become or are involved in digital transformation as well. So it's important that the accountants actually embrace other skills, not just standards, but other skills like integrated reporting, technology, as well as knowledge on climate and sustainability. Next. So we are also part of RCEP, and we hope with RCEP we also be able to participate, on the international economy as well, and to expand our participation. And okay, can we go next? And this is the flow to become the registered foreign professional accountants. So in short, all ASEAN CPA, you are eligible to become RFPA, but in Malaysia, we are still under the Accountants Act 1967. So ASEAN CPA that would like to register as RFPA or CA Malaysia, at the moment, the qualification that we recognize are based on our act, which are actually, the about 11 professional bodies like ICAW, CIMA, ACCA. Those qualifications are recognized, and also Chartered Accountant New Zealand and CPA Australia among those. So there, because the act are still under review, so at the moment we use, we have to abide by the act in terms of the qualification recognized for RFPA. Next. So as per MIA members who are registered as ASEAN CPA, to date we have about, I think, around 1233. We have additional 170. In total, we have 1,233. Next. So to be successful, this is, I think, my last slide. To be successful, I think my advice is all ASEAN CPAs are recommended to have the qualifications, and then be conversant with IFRS, and also you need to have the skill sets on technology. And the other thing is that I noticed that a lot of conversations within ASEAN regions are actually based on English conversation. All the reports are mainly written in English. So I think those are part of the factor that can enhance, our participation in ASEAN economy. And also, I think we are all aware about our cultures. I think we have been together for the long time. So understanding cultures is also very important in ASEAN. And working together, collaboration is very important. And I think I am very positive about the future of ASEAN. I think we all, if we collaborate, we work together, we can bring ASEAN as the economic giant of the world, as a lot have said. So with that, next slide. Thank you very much. You can have all this information through our social media, our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our Telegram. So we are there in each of those social media. And please also reach out to us if you need any assistance, if you need more information. Thank you very much to AMCI for inviting me, and thank you to the Secretariat of AMCI to make this presentation possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Numazila, for your introduction about MIA Digital Technology Blueprint, and on how to become a successful ASEAN CPA. I noted some important points from your presentation. You said that MIA has two roles, which are regulatory role and developmental role, and MIA safeguards public interest and uphold the profession's reputation and develops profession for economic growth and nation building. And second, to be a successful ASEAN CPA, the ASEAN CPA holders are recommended to hold professional qualifications, be conversant with IFRS, be digital savvy, be fluent in English language, mostly as business language, and become familiar with different cultures of ASEAN countries, especially where they intend to work. Okay, the next speaker is Assistant Professor Teracha Arungrang Sriler from Thailand. Professor Teracha has a PhD in Management Accounting from the Asian Institute of Technology, or AIT. He also holds a Master of Accountancy from Chulalongkorn University and a BBA in Accounting from Thammasat University. Currently, Professor Teracha is the Vice President of Federation of Accounting Profession in Thailand. He is also a Chairman of Audit Committee in the Compensation Fund of the Ministry of Labor, a committee and Chairman of Accounting Profession in Development Subcommittee Federation of Accounting Professions in Thailand, and he is also an Assistant Professor of the Department of Accounting of Thammasat Business School in Thammasat University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Assistant Professor Teracha. Mr. Teracha, you have 30 minutes to present. You may start now.
Thank you very much for these opportunities, and I'm proud to be here to present about the Thailand practices in accounting. So thank you, Daniel. So first of all, I would like to thank you, the AMCI, to have this event. I think it's very good opportunities in order to share about information and knowledge, a background in each country, especially for the Malaysia. It's a very good presentation from Dr. Non, and very interesting. I think I can give my time for you additionally. Okay, but for I would like for the MC to help me to handle about the slide. Okay, thank you. So first of all, the accounting practices in Thailand. So please go to next slide. Okay, In Thailand, we're going to have the two significant bodies, organizations to control or to handle about the accounting practices in Thailand. The first is the TFACs, or Federations of Accounting Professions. So this is the national accounting bodies. For these organizations, is handled to overall account for launch about the accounting standard, and to handle and overseas about the accounting professions in Thailand. But for this will be performed under the monitor by the another organizations, what we call the PRA, or Professional Regulatory Authorities, or the Oversight Committees on Accounting Professions, or OCAP. Is under the Ministry of Commerce. Okay, so please go to the next slide. Okay, so before go further, I would like to share you about information a little bit about in Thailand. So especially for the demographic in the TFAC, or the national accounting body, now we're gonna have the 90,000 members to serve about the accounting practices in Thailand. So actually, for the accounting practices, will be required very much in the public firms and the non-public firms as well. Actually, in Thailand, normally have the business unit totally around 3.1 million business units, which will be composed of the public firms in the listed companies and the non-publicly entities. So for the big market is in the of the non-publicly entities, which around the 74%, and for is come from the SMEs, and it's very important because SME is the main basics for economic driven in Thailand. So if we discuss about the proportions of the members in the TFAC, or the national accounting bodies, to serve those business units, is around, well, we're gonna have just only the 90,000 members, but actually for the active practices in accounting, I think is not fully on this number. So we're gonna have to serve all of the business unit in Thailand. So we're gonna have a lot of opportunities for the accounting practices in Thailand for this proportion. So, and I would like to present about the accounting practices. If you are the ASEAN CPAs, normally we're gonna have in Thailand have the two types of the services of the accounting that ASEAN CPA can provide. For the first is for the non-regulated services, or the normally will be related to the corporate accountants. So for example, you're gonna be the CFO, you're gonna be the managers in finance, you maybe the group accountants, internal auditors, risk managers, governance advisory consultants, and management consultants. It's a lot of accounting related practices in Thailand, but we can have a little bit requirement for, especially for the CFO in the listed companies. By now, SET or the SEC in Thailand, we are require the requirement about the accounting knowledge, accounting and finance knowledge, that for the CFO have to maintain their knowledge in accounting, in the accounting training or finance training, at least maybe 8 to 12 hours per year. So it's a little bit requirement, but it's not compulsory for the have any certificates in accounting or not. So it's not required. So we're gonna move next. Okay, so this is ASEAN CPA requirements for the Thailand. So the first, you're gonna have the membership of the TFAC, and then normally now we're gonna have the ASEAN CPA qualifications have to hold the certificate in Thailand, just as the CPA Thailand, and now we're gonna extend to the other certificates, for example, time management accountants, and maybe others. By now, the Thailand, we gonna have the professional accountants is the same as chartered accountant in Malaysia to have these qualifications, because normally if you graduated from the accounting, you can practice in time. You can practice the accounting. If you are the citizens of Thailand, you can register to the TFAC and register to the regulators, and you can practice in the accounting as an accountant. You can have the license, but by now we can control and monitor about this to enhance the qualifications of the accountant in firms. So by now we can have the professional accountant. And this maybe can apply to be as in CPA as well, but have to pass examinations. And of course, they have to maintain their knowledge, okay, and pass exams and have to maintain the knowledge. Normally, we're gonna have to maintain the 40 hours per year, okay. And please can move to the next slide. And this is the regulated services in Thailand related to the accountants. So for the NAB or the TFAC and the FRA requirement, we're gonna have require the regulated service accountants have to be domiciled in Thailand and being proficient in Thai and being qualified to work as the accountant by accounting professions role. And never have been imposed sentenced to imprisonments for offenses under accounting professions regulations. Okay, following this Act BE 247, unless the individual has been released or not less than 3 years. And the last one, having education qualification as prescribed by the Departments of Business Development's announcement. I'm sorry. So normally for the regulated services is maybe cover for the auditors and the certified accountants. It means that if you are the ASEAN CPA, you want to work in these fields, you cannot practice by yourself lonely. You have to practice by have the partners or the collaboration with the local practitioners. This is a regulated services. Okay, please move to the next slide. As the foreign professional accountants, normally we cannot. This is that I have said is that cannot apply for the notified accountants in Thailand, but he or she can may work with collaboration with Thai notified accountant as RFPA. But it's normal, but it has a little bit exceptions. So for the details, you can find in the websites of the TFACs. So but it's rarely case that the foreigners to practice about the regulated services that have a additional requirements following this. Okay, so please move to the next slide. For the these regulated services or qualified external auditors is the one of the regulated of the accounting services in Thailand. So for sure, is I think it's rather the same as other countries in ASEAN. For the most country in the ASEAN, it's rather the same. Is that auditors? So this is a requirement to be an auditors in Thailand. Normally, you're gonna have the membership, okay, of the TFACs and having domicile in Thailand and being a proficient in Thailand. in tight, and they post and have passed the examination, training, and apprentice. You have to apprentice as well as prescribed by regulations of TFAC, and being qualified to work as the accountant by accounting professions law, and never have imposed and sentence in the imprisonment for offense under accounting. That's I haven't said on this, and having education for qualifications as prescribed by the departments of business development announcement, and not being bankrupt is very important, right? Is the thing that can prove credentials of the practices. Minimum age of 20 years old is following to the maturities of the regulations persons. Okay, so please move to the next slide. Thank you. And these I have said, so please move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so for the RFPAs in Thailand, I think it's rather the same as other countries in ASEAN. So if you want to work as a ASEAN CPA in Thailand, first of all, you have to apply. First of all, you have to find the partner and collaborations with the local practices in Thailand. So, and you have to apply to be the RFPA at the TFAC. And TFAC will prove that you are the real one as an ASEAN CPA, and have to prove the your partner as a local practitioners. And if everything is okay and have the qualified, so you get a pass from this, and TFAC will launch and issue for the certificate for you, and you can have this one to apply with the Department of Employment under the Ministry of Labor. So it's very important that they can provide you about the permit to perform the accounting practices in Thailand. This is rather the same as other country in ASEAN as well. And now for this process, it's under to revise, because it is a good news. For the next slide, please. So recently, the Ministry of Labor in Thailand launches the official announcement in response to the ASEAN's mutual recognition arrangements of accountancy services to facilitate the mobility, the services in member states. So it's very good news. So we try a lot to drive this a lot. And now that these regulations have already issued, and for the rest of this, we're gonna have to revise the process in order to easier and facilitate the movement or mobilities of the practitioners within the region. So I think is soon it can be opened, and to have this opportunity for you all in the ASEAN area. So thank you for the move to the next slide. Okay, so I would like to share you about the strategies to become a successful ASEAN CPA. So we're gonna have 4 points, and I think is some points rather the same as the Dr. Nom. So the 4 points that you're gonna have the skill development. So I think it's very important if you want to be the ASEAN CPA, apart from the technical skill, for example, for the academic standard, for the ethics or everything. But if you want to work in the internationally, especially in the ASEAN, you have to have a lot of skill, especially in the soft skill. For example, you have the leadership, because you have to work with the multicultural. You have to have the good in negotiation skill as well, and you have to have a problem solving, including the you have to learn more language apart from English as well. It will be better for you if you work as the ASEAN CPA. It's a skill development. You have to I summarize that the skill apart from technical, you have to maintain the and increase your soft skill, because you have to work with a lot of people within the language. It's really big in ASEAN, right? You have to work in different cultures, in different areas, and different thought paradigms. So everything. So you have to increase if you want to be the successful ASEAN CPA. For the next point is the digital mastery. It's very important. You have to you have tried to reskill you and upskill as well, especially for the digital literacy. So I think it's very important now. We cannot avoid for the high technologies and the new technologies. So I think, but by now it's digital, right? I think further in the next era is maybe move apart from the digital. So maybe in the future it's maybe have the quantum something. I think the quantum is not the best on digital anymore. So it's maybe the move. So I think it's not just like the digital, it's everything, the technology mastery is something. It's very important for the ASEAN CPA. So you have to apart from this, you don't want to know everything about the high technologies, but you have to understand and you have to understand and you can have the capables of the apply them into in the right way related to your practices. It's very important. It's not just that you are the expertise on this, but you have to understand, apply them in order to enhance your capabilities. For example, you have increased the analysis skills, and you have to you want to increase the skills and the manners of the design to use those technologies. I think it's very important for the ASEAN CPA. It's the second point for me. And for the third, you stay tuned. It means that you have to adapt yourself along with the online. So it's really important because it's nowadays every change, especially for the pandemic nowadays. You see that it's the thing that enhance the disruptions. So enhance the technology applications. So you have to adjust yourself to deal with this technology trend. So stay online. You have to stay on social media as well. So you can use this and apply this, exploit this in the right way to enhance your practices in accounting. So, and the last one, I think is the key for to be the successful ASEAN CPA is that you're gonna have and you're gonna be good connections. So because it's the one requirement, right, that you have to a partner in local accounting practitioners to be the ASEAN CPA apply in the other country within the ASEAN. But for I think it's really important for another point is that to be the successful as a CPA, you're gonna have to maintain very good connections because I think nowadays is related in the global is rather narrow. So everyone you can face, everyone you can work together. So I think the connections can help you, enhance you, that you help you and support you to be and to have the more informations and more opportunity for this. I think this is fourth thing for me to enhance about the successful to be the ASEAN CPA. So I think I want to emphasize again that you have to try to maintain your development and you have to come over the comfort zone. You have to learn the new things, especially for the language and other cultures and the technology. So I think for me, I think digital is maybe past really fast. For the next era, it's maybe from the next, but I never know now. But I think it's maybe some technology is maybe faster and better than this as well. It's because following to the theories of the transformations for the new thing will be fast, compelling with in the past. So you have to prepare by yourself a lot for this day. Okay, and for me it's very short. So thank you for move to the next slide. So I think for me, I really I like this sentence a lot. So I would like to inform you that don't stop when you are tired. So you can stop when you are done. So I think it's very important. So if you want to be the good practices in accounting, actually in the ASEAN region. I have known that we gonna have a lot of the obstacles by now, for example, pandemics of the COVID-19, but I think we gotta prepare by yourself. When everything is released and situations will be okay, well, we have to prepare ourselves to plumb to movement in other countries or other opportunities in order to practice and enhance and to to bring our region to be the good accounting practices together. So this is a thing that I want to share about in Thailand. So please go to the next slide. So so I think this is the very short for me because I have a lot of details and and informations about the practices in accounting related in Thailand. So if you need any further information, you can go to the website of TFACT. So or any knowledge or any information that you want, you can further to maybe send the request to the A, AM, AMCI, right? To kind of link for the knowledge. So I would like to share about the information if possible, and everything I can support you. Thank you very much for the opportunities, and very good. Thank you, Dr. Noms. Again, it's very good presentations. Very good. So okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terachai.
Thank you.
So that there are requirements and how to apply as an RRPA in Thailand. And there is something interesting that I noted, that in Thailand, foreign professional accountants cannot apply for notified accountants. However, he or she may work in collaboration with Thai notified accountants as RRPA. And you also give us tips to become a successful ASEAN CPA from they are one should develop a broader range of skill, master digital tools and software, stay online and access social media driven resources, and networking professionally both offline and online in order to open more career opportunity. So now that we have had two speakers, I know that most of you have already prepared questions for them, but please hold your questions because we still have one more speaker. And I'd like to give you a gentle reminder that you can submit your question through the Q&A feature for participants in the Zoom, and or from the link that can be seen on your screen. amci.or.id/s/ASEANCPA-webinar.links. Okay. Finally, we have our last speaker. Our last speaker is Ms. Letitia Nung from Vietnam. Ms. Nung has a master and bachelor degree in accounting from the Academy of Finance. And since 2004, she holds a certified public accountant. Currently, Ms. Nung is the Deputy General Director in the Accounting and Auditing Supervisory Department of the Ministry of Finance of Vietnam. And formerly, she was also an expert and a manager in the same department in the Ministry of Finance of Vietnam. Ms. Nung, you may start your presentation, and you have 30 minutes.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for the introduction. And I am very pleased to be here today to present to you about the accounting practice in Vietnam. And thank very much for ACMI to give me the opportunity to present this issue in this webinar. I hope that the information I share in this presentation will provide you with the useful information about the Vietnam situations. And we welcome all the ASEAN CPA to come and to work in Vietnam. Can you share slide for me? Next slide, please. As my presentation divided into 4 parts. First, I share with you information about overview about accounting practice in Vietnam, and then we share about the ASEAN CPA career opportunity in Vietnam, and also inform you the process of RFPA registration in Vietnam. And the fourth and last is my talk about the strategy to become a successful ASEAN CPA. Next slide, please. And about the overview of accounting practice in Vietnam. Next slide. First of all, I would like to deal with the law and regulations. So in Vietnam, there are 2 laws, accounting law and the law on independent audit. Form the statutory framework for accounting and auditing and corporate financial reporting in Vietnam. And the accounting law requires all the corporate entity to apply the Vietnamese accounting standard when prepare financial statements. And AASD, the accounting and auditing supervisory department, my department. This department is under the Ministry of Finance and is responsible for setting accounting standard in Vietnam. And in Vietnam, IFRS and IFRS for SME have not been adopted. Some companies have prepared a financial statement based on IFRS, but these statements are considered supplementary to FS that require the bylaw to comply with VAS. And in year 2020, the Ministry of Finance has now planned to implement the IFRS by 2025 for listed company and FDI firms. And for the auditing, we have a law on independent audit. This law regulates the principle, condition, scope, and form of independent audit activity, as well as the right and obligation of practicing auditor, auditing firm, etc. And the law requires annual financial statement of the public company, such as bank and credit institution, insurance business, state-owned enterprise, etc., must be audited by the audit firm and in accordance with the VSA, Vietnamese Standard on Auditing. And VACPA is the agency to setting their auditing standard and submit to MOF for insurance. The current version of VSA is based on the version 2009. And we are planning to update it in the next 2-3 years. Next slide, please. And about the licensing body in Vietnam for accountancy profession. So under the law, the Ministry of Finance is given authority to regulate the accountancy profession in Vietnam. MOF responsibilities are quite a lot of things. First is establishing the qualification requirement to become the professional accountant and also the certified public accountant. And MOF also administering PA and CPA examination, issuing practicing certificate to both practicing auditor and also the practicing accountant. And as mentioned above, the MOF also setting accounting standards and issuing an auditing standard based on the recommendation from VACPA. And we also administering mechanisms such as quality assurance and investigate and disciplinary systems. So there are 2 professional associations in Vietnam. One is the Vietnam Association of Accountants and Auditors, VAA, and the second is the Vietnam Association of Certified Public Accountants. For the VAA is established in 1994 and is the first profession in Vietnam. And membership with the VAA is not mandatory. All the PA, CPA, or accountant in business across the country may become the member of the VAA. And VAA is also a member of the AFA and IFAC. And the responsibility of the VAA is upgrading the professional skill for accountants in the country, participate in developing accounting standards. And they also organize a lot of the professional seminar workshop on the hot issue of the profession to update with the accountancy profession in Vietnam. Next slide, please. And the second professional association is VACPA. All the member of VACPA is certified public accountants. And this association established in 2005. And now it's also a member of CAPA and affiliate member of the IFAC. And the responsible of the VACPA is draft the auditing standard, participate in the quality assurance and investigative and disciplinary activities with the Ministry of Finance. And it provides a lot of CPD costs to the CPA and other professional accountants. And it's coordinated with the MOF to organize the CPA and PA exam in Vietnam. Next slide, please. And in order to qualify as a professional accountant and certified public accountant, person should meet some criteria. For the professional accountant, they should have a bachelor degree or higher in finance, accounting, auditing, or in other field, but should have a CAT qualification. And they should have work experience in finance, accounting, and auditing at least 36 months. And they should pass the writing exam for professional accountant includes 4 subjects. And for CPAs includes 7 subjects. For those who hold a CPA qualification or CPA Australia or ICA-EW, etc., they should pass the conversion test to get the Vietnam CPA or Vietnam PA. And that is a multiple choice question. And in order to practice, provide accounting service and auditing service, they should get the license and to become the practicing accountant and practicing auditor. For practicing accountant, they should have a professional accounting certification and have a practical experience at least 36 months, meet the CPD requirement at least 40 hours per year, and they should working full-time for accounting firm or household. And for practicing auditors, the same item, but they have a CPA certification, and they should have a practical experience as an audit assistant in auditing firm for at least 6 months, and also have to work full-time for auditing firm. Next slide, please. And in order to provide accounting service, the PA may practice by individuals or set up the accounting firm. For individuals, they should have set up their business household. We call it the household. And the representative of the household should be the practicing accountant. And for the firm, we require that each firm have at least two practicing accountant, and also 2 contributors should be the practicing accountant. And the total capital contributed practicing accountant much over 40% of the firm. It means that the control should belong to the practicing accountant. Next, please. And here is the we list all the activity belong to the accounting services. So who want to provide this activity to the firm according to the contract, economic contract, it should have a practicing license given by the Ministry of Finance. Next, please. And for auditing services, and in Vietnam, only auditing firm can provide audit service. We are not allowed to individual to provide audit service. And for auditing firm, they must meet the following requirements. First, they should have at least 5 practicing auditors. Among of that, at least 2 capital contributors are practicing auditor, and the legal representative and also the general director of the firm must be a practicing auditor. And capital contributed by a practicing auditor much over 50% of the firm charter capitals. If the company has a member is organization, the capital contributed by the member that is organization is not exceed 35% of the charter capital of the firm. And we also require the firm should meet the legal requirement of capital. It's 5 billion Vietnamese dong. And one other kinds of the entity can provide auditing firms, auditing and accounting service in Vietnam as a branch of foreign accounting and auditing firm. So I think it's suitable for the ASEAN CPA to work for the branch of the foreign accounting and auditing Vietnam. And the condition is that the foreign accounting auditing firm must be permitted to provide accounting and auditing in the origin country. And in Vietnam, they should have at least 2 practicing accountant and practicing auditor. It means that those should have a practicing, they should have a CPA Vietnam or PA Vietnam. And the equity of the firm at least 500,000 US dollar, 500,000 US dollar, sorry. And the allocated capital for the brand not less than 5 billion Vietnamese dong. And the foreign accounting auditing firm must send a letter to MOF to accept all the obligation of their branch when they operate in Vietnam. The one other service is the liquidator or insolvency services. It's also the condition service in Vietnam, and a liquidator can practice by individual or in the property management enterprise. And to practice as a liquidators, applicant must have full zero-H capacity and having a practicing liquidator certificate. That certificate is issued by the Ministry of Justice and have registered with the Department of Justice at the provincial level when the firm is located. And in order to get the practicing liquidator's certificate, the person should be a CPA or lawyer or a person with a bachelor degree in law and have at least 5 years of working experience. Next slide, please. And I share with you some of the careers opportunity in Vietnam for ASEAN CPA. Here is some figure. As of May this year, we have 5,636 certified public accountants and 1,091 professional accountants. And among that, we have 2,347 practicing auditor who is eligible to sign audit report. And also we have 411 practicing accountants. For auditing firm, we have 209 auditing firm, including on the Big Four, BDO, Grant Thornton, PKF, also presented in Vietnam. And we have 148 accounting firm. And it's not here is only the number of the person and firm they provide accountancy services. We not account here on the accountant who work in business, in the industry and in commercial. Next slide, please. And I list here the accountancy service in Vietnam into two kinds. First, of regulated services and non-regulated services. As I said with you, the accounting services, auditing services, and insolvency services, not yet open for ASEAN CPA, RFPA, because each own require the person have the CPA Vietnam. And for non-regulated services, we open to ASEAN CPA, RFPA, for all the professional accountant in business, such as CFO, chief accountant, management accountant, and internal auditors. Next slide, please. And I share with you that the two high demand for the job in Vietnam now. First is we have a high demand for accounting personnel with deep understanding and experience in applying the IFRS. As I mentioned above, the MOF has announced plan to adopt the IFRS by 2025. So we have we need a lot of the professional accountant who have experience in applying IFRS. And also for the internal audit. Next slide, please. And the government issued the new decrees to require to own the listed company in Vietnam, and also the big state-owned enterprise, and own the public entity in Vietnam, in the public sector. I mean, in public sector in Vietnam, to have an internal audit function. So this started from the 1st of April of this year, after 2 years for preparation. So we need a lot of the person has expertise and experience in the internal audit. And the next part is I inform you with the process of a registered foreign professional accountant, RFPA in Vietnam. Next slide, please. Here you can see the procedure. The step one, the applicant should send the applicant and also some materials such as copy of work permits, copy of ASEAN CPA certificate, and also documents showing the collaboration intention between the Vietnam professional accountant and RFPA, or copy of employment contract. So the applicant send on to the MOF, and then when MOF they check the document and also inform the the successful applicant and add his or her name on the list of RFPA and disclose on the website. And for the unsuccessful, we also inform the reason. And then the MOF will notify to APAC and also the secretariats and MC of the origin country about the RFPA application in Vietnam. Next, please. And I share with you some information about the Vietnam work permit requirement. And each application should meet the general requirement for the person who work in Vietnam. The person should over 80 years old, have a good health condition, free of any criminal record in their country. And for the job assignment, like the foreign expert or technical worker or director, CEO, they should meet the requirement of the education experience and also the experience working in relevant to the job position they intend to hold in Vietnam. And here is the next slide, please. And here is 4 steps to get the work permit. It's all done by the employer who intend to employ the foreign worker. First, they obtain the approval of the demand on employing foreign employee. And then they prepare the document for applying for work permit and then submit document to the labor authority. And then the receive results. It takes about 20 days. And the last part, next slide, please. I share some my talk about the strategy to become a successful ASEAN CPA. Next slide. I think that a lot of general thing has mentioned by the 2 previous speakers. I think that we should, the ASEAN CPA should carefully research the policy and regulation on services that open for ASEAN CPA to provide in each country. And they should know the process to get access to services and prepare the necessary conditions to get work permits. And we agree that the ASEAN CPA should broadening the horizons by attending the network section to connect with the peers and prospective employer in the host country. And very important is the upgrade scheme to meet the international standard and to create a competitive advantage over domestic professional accountants. And also equipped with the good skill and knowledge about the digital transformation, artificial intelligence, big data analysis, etc., as mentioned by 2 speakers. And the last but not least, learn to proactively address cultures and practice difference, because in each country, the culture and practice may have a difference. That's all my talk. And thank you very much for the attention. And I am happy to answer all the questions may you raise by you. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Nung, for your presentation. So from your presentation, we can conclude that there are 2 professional associations in Vietnam. They are Vietnam Accounting Association, or VAA, and Vietnam Association of Certified Public Accountants. And the strategies to become a successful ASEAN CPA, according to Ms. Nung, are first, carefully researching policies and regulations. Second, knowing the process to get a work permit. 3, broadening horizons to connect with prospective employers in the host country. upgrading skills to meet international standards, be digital savvy, and learn how to address cultural and practical differences. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you that you can submit your question through the Q&A feature for participants in the Zoom webinar or through Slido, which link is on your screen. You can ask questions either in English or Bahasa, whichever is more convenient for you. And before I open the Q&A session, I will give you the keyword for today's webinar. The keyword is ASEAN Chartered Professional Accountant. Of questions,
Recording in
however,
progress.
we might not be able to answer all. Oh yeah, but before I read you questions from the participants, I believe that as the moderator, I have the privilege to ask their first questions. So I will ask my questions first. My first question to all of the speakers is, currently there are restrictions to travel to other countries during the pandemic, and we are still unsure when this pandemic will end. In your honest opinion, is ASEAN CPA still worth obtaining? Can you give your thoughts on this, Mr. Terachai?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. So can you repeat the questions again, because the signal is not okay for me? Okay, a little bit.
All right. There are restrictions to travel to other countries during the pandemic, and we are still unsure when this pandemic will end. In your opinion, is ASEAN CPA still worth obtaining?
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. It's really interesting questions. Is that for about these obstacles about the pandemic? So I think the traveling is prohibited, right? So I think for the answers that I have said in my sessions is that in this time it's not good for traveling. So I think ASEAN CPA should prepare themselves a lot for everything. For examples, to stay connected together, to work with the technology. So I think for the further work in other country, especially in the ASEAN country, I think it's not just to have the just only travel. You're gonna have to the connection, prepare yourself a lot to connect everything. So I think for this time, we're gonna have a lot of channels in order to work with other persons. So especially, so if you want to work with the other countries within the ASEAN, you can prepare yourselves a lot for a contract, for doing and training and collaborating with the targeted country that you want to work with. So I think it's quite to be the opportunities rather than the obstacle for me. So because this time, like you can see a lot of channels and technology that you can apply with. So for example, in the past, the accountants may be rather conservative, right? So you cannot use any high technology. So something that happened for the pandemic COVID-19, so you cannot travel, so you have to use a lot of technologies in order to enhance your practice. So this time, I think no other fields of the profession can like look down in the academic practices, right? Because now we can equally performance in using the technology as well, right? So I think this time it should be a lot of opportunity for the ASEAN CPA to prepare themselves, and I would like to say that connection is very important. For another one is that we can have a lot of events related to the ASEAN CPA. For example, especially for the Alpha. Alpha has another organizations with composed of the academic body within the region, right? So we're gonna have a lot of events to connect together and prepare ourselves to work mobility in future. So I think the travel problem is, I believe that it may be released in future years because it now have the vaccines, right? And rather efficiency. So if not the fourth wave is okay. So now the third wave, right? So I think, but I believe that in future for this, the COVID-19 is rather the normal diseases. It's not just the new, except you can have the new diseases in future. I'm not sure, but now I think it's like a fluence, for instance, something is like a normal in future. So vaccine we're gonna use on this in Thailand as well. We try to release this problem a lot, and I think at the end of this year it will be release everything. So, but in futures for my in short is that for me is that we're gonna try use this opportunity, prepare ourselves, stay connections, and increase the skill, and open the mind to obtain everything. So for me, thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tarachai. So basically, the pandemic is not an obstacle; it's an opportunity to prepare ourselves.
Yes.
All right. What do you think about this, Dr. Mazila?
I think, okay, first of all, we have to recognize that ASEAN CPA is actually a designation that results from the ASEAN MRA and the ASEAN Economic Community. Okay, so, and I think we also need to keep abreast. We need to get more information about how the ASEAN countries have, put forward their strategies together. So technology is one of the important strategy that I think was launched during when Thailand was the chair. I think that was in 2019 where ASEAN launched its digital strategy for ASEAN countries. So having ASEAN CPA brings you the recognition from the ASEAN government, so even your cert is having the ASEAN logo. And that recognition also, I think, helps you to connect, which Dr. Terry has mentioned about connectivity, and help you to be in that community. And so the next thing that we look at is how ASEAN countries, have their plan together to navigate the COVID-19. So now I think all of us in ASEAN countries are having a different kind of normal, what we call a new norm, or different kind of modus operandi. And within ASEAN also, we are now doing a lot of activities through digital platform. So I think moving forward, if the pandemic is prolonged, and of course we are going to handle it together, and I think a lot more organization may also offer an online or work from home based type of job. Okay, and this probably in the area where you don't need to be physical, in the area of say analysis, research, analytics. So there I think the such kind of jobs may emerge. So this is where I think preparation is very important. And Dr. Terry also has mentioned that when you have ASEAN CPA, you can be more involved, and we can get to know about the situation or the economic situation in each of the ASEAN countries in a much better way, and we get all that information. And you can get also updates from the ASEAN CPA website. So we have to see the ASEAN CPA website has many articles on different countries. So I think these resources are also very good, and we need to keep updating ourselves. And for those who own a firm or those who own a business, they may also create this type of job where you don't need to be there. You can do it from home, especially when it is research based. So if you're talking about IFRS, a lot of IFRS analysis, it can be done from home because those are table what we call desktop analysis. So I think that kind of job should be more considered by employers around ASEAN. And globally, I'm aware there are more employers globally have offered that kind of job for international applicants. So that's my view. And I hope we can move together in ASEAN countries in a more robust engagement and collaboration. Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah, thank you, Dr. Namazila. Do you think people who are remote working from each of their country still need an RFPA to work remotely in your country? Do they still need RFPA?
As regarding RFPA, one of the role of the body, the national body, is to look at the regulation. So in a way, when you become a member of the national body, you are part of the bylaw of the ethic codes and the standards. So that is why RFPA is required, because that fulfill requirement on regulated services especially. But even non-regulated services, I think, while you're doing, say, for example, your job scope is more of looking at analysis and all that, and you're not doing attestation. So I think this is where, they may not require RFPA, like Vietnam does not require the RFPA for non-regulated services. But if it's a regulated services, I think most member states would require RFPA. But being a member of that local national body is good, because apart from the regulatory requirement, being a member of that national professional body or national body is good, because you can get all the updates on the latest requirement and regulation. For example, with the COVID-19, our Malaysia Institute of Accountants, we are very much engaged with the Bursa Malaysia Securities Commission, the IRB, International Review Board, and we will disseminate the information to all of our members regarding extension deadline or any other requirements.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mazila. Maybe for what do you think about Ms. Nung? Do you think the ASEAN CPA is still worth obtaining in this pandemic? I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yes, I agree with the sharing from from my colleagues from the Malaysia and also Thailand, and I hope that with the assistance of the vaccine, so the pandemic can be declined in the future, and we also think that we take this opportunity to prepare for myself, for ourselves, especially for the ASEAN CPA. I think that we can hold the same webinar, or it's more possible to exchange the view and experience among the AMS, and also update the news information between countries. And like the Malaysia, we're impressed with the research and a lot of things on their digital issues related to the profession. And I think that we should prepare a lot before we move to HAFN, AMS to practice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. No. Maybe I will ask my second question also. From the website ASEANCPA.org, you can see that there are differences in the number of ASEAN CPA holders in each ASEAN member country. Do you think this difference in number shows difference in competency or implementation gap or something of the sorts? What do you think is the cause of the difference in the number of ASEAN CPA holders in each country? Maybe I will start from Ms. Nung.
Yes. Yes, you can see the number of CPA in Vietnam is more than 500 or 5,000 and near 6,000. But the number of the ASEAN CPA is zero. And we have some difficulty in the finalize the announcement of assessment statement in our country, because we have something with the law that the own administrative procedure should be should be approved by the government, not the ministry level. So we take a lot of time to persuade a lot of the ministry and also the agency that is under the MRA, and it's not new the procedure requirement, and we cannot set up any new criteria for the person who want to become the ASEAN CPA. So I hope that at the end of next month we can finalize the assessment statement officially, and I think that we have 1,000 people to become the ASEAN CPA. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Nung. And Mr. Tarache, what are your views on this?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. It's very interesting for the different numbers of ASEAN CPA nowadays. Right? For my opinion, is I think that it's up to each country for promoting on this. For in Thailand, have a little bit problems. So because in Thailand is now like a change in the have a lot of projects. So and maybe in the time of transition. So that's why the growth of the numbers of ASEAN CPA is a little bit improvement. So I think it's up to each country. I think for Thailand, we're gonna have a lot of plan to promote about the increasing ASEAN CPA, because the problem is that I think it's rather the general problem is that who hold the ASEAN CPA now and cannot travel to other country. What is the benefit they can get on this? So I think it's very important questions that we have to deliver to the prospect of ASEAN CPA first. So I think ASEAN CPA is not just the people don't to work across the country. I think for the foreign company want to get and recognize the performance or the capabilities of ASEAN CPA as well. For example, in Thailand have a lot of foreign companies. So I think I like to sure that they recognize the ASEAN CPA, not just the local and also the foreigner as well. So I think it's the thing that in each national body of the accountancy have to concern and try to help the promote on this. So I think it's up to each country, but Thailand is still now improving. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tarache. Maybe the last from Dr. Numazila. What do you think? How to lessen the gap in the competency and implementation of IFRS among the 10 ASEAN member countries?
Okay. Right. So I think this is a very interesting question on IFRS. So actually, IFRS in terms of the development, the adoption within ASEAN countries, I think started probably within less than 10 years, maybe in certain countries, but in Malaysia, we've been adopting the international standard. And IFRS, I think we've been adopting that since 2016, 2012. Before that, we follow international standard, but the previous, what we call IASC at that time. So in terms of IFRS, there has to be a lot of education from the higher, from the probably University of Institute of Higher Learning. Even I think the introduction or the knowledge at the say matriculation or pre-university has to be there for a start. So there has to be a lot of education need to be done in order to grab and to understand the IFRS. So this is where as I can share that trainings of IFRS in Malaysia or trainings conducted by MIA is one of the highest attendees are those trainings on accounting standards. So despite that, we have been adopting Malaysia converged with IFRS much earlier, 2012. But the trainings are still ongoing to enhance capacity in IFRS. So when we conduct training, we have different types of training. We do give training on understanding IFRS conceptual framework as a whole together with all the standards in terms of the recognition, measurement, disclosure. And then we also have trainings on each particular IFRS, and we also have case study based on different issues on IFRS. So there are many levels of training. And we also have training for trainers, where we conduct trainings for the lecturers who are teaching IFRS. So the amount of training, I would say, is a lot. So that's how we can also enhance the IFRS. As for public listed, we receive grants from the Commission of Malaysia. We call the Capital Market Development Fund. We receive grant to conduct or to offer training, discounted or what we call complimentary for the those who are working in public listed companies or who met the criteria. So I would say that a lot of training and education in order to enhance our competency on IFRS.
Okay, thank you very much for all the answers from all the speakers. So now I will start reading the questions from the participants. Maybe do we have a live questions? Okay, so first I will ask the question from. This is from Anonymous. This is addressed to Dr. Nimazela. Is there any collaboration or cooperation among MIA, MICPA, AOB, and others, if any, to enhance or promote accountancy profession in Malaysia?
Okay, so MICPA is a Malaysian Institute of Certified Public Accountant. It's a professional body in Malaysia, and it offers an exam which is called the MIPA Professional Exam. So we do work with a lot with MIPA in terms of promoting the profession. Of course, we also work with a lot of other professional bodies who are present in Malaysia, like ACCA or ICAW or CPA Australia, Chartered Accountant of New Zealand. They do have their presence in Malaysia as well in promoting the accountancy body. So AOB is Audit Oversight Board, which is under the Securities Commission. So it looks after the auditors of public listed company who are part of the capital market ecosystem. So with regards to our relationship with AOB, of course, we work very closely in ensuring that the auditing community are actually well regulated, and also to ensure that we achieve, together in Malaysia, a good audit quality. So we do work with AOB, but we work AOB very much mainly on the audit area of auditing, enhancing the audit quality. We work with MIPA, of course, in ensuring that the profession is, relevant, and ensuring that the professional accountants in Malaysia are well skilled and well qualified. So, but apart from these two bodies, MIE, works with a lot of other organizations, because our policy or our principle is to collaborate, and we do a lot of collaboration. In a year, I think we have more than probably 30 events that we collaborated. So collaboration with, for example, International Federation of Accountants, ASEAN Federation of Accountants, we collaborate with a lot of professional bodies as well. So, for example, we also collaborate with the European Federation of Accountants, EEFA. We do adopt their digital competency, where we share that with our members. We collaborate with firms in terms of our technical advocacy. So we are working a lot in collaboration. So, of course, our aim is to, one of the big projects that we are undertaking is actually to promote the future relevance of the accountancy profession. We are, advocating that even though there's technology in place, the profession will still be relevant, because accountants and auditors will adopt technology and will harness. So technology are tools, and we are human with the professional skills and knowledge and the ability to make judgment. And so we need to use the tools so that we can be better in performing our roles. So don't let the technology, make us obsolete. So we need to use the technology properly so that we can be better. So that is what we are promoting.
Okay. So in order we won't be obsoleted, we need to improve ourselves in every way possible. Okay. So we got a question from Miss Melanie. This is from Slido. This is a question for Mr. Terachai. Does Ministry of Commerce do oversight to accountancy professions, especially public accountant? If yes, to what extent and how it coordinate with SEC?
So the question is that, sorry for the questions again, please.
Does the Ministry of Commerce do oversight to accountancy profession, especially public accountant? If yes, to what extent and how it coordinate with SEC?
It's meant the public accountant, right? It's means the CPA. It's mean the practice as a CPA, right? So but by now it's not just around for the foreigners. So but have a little bit. I'm not sure I can answer for the directly for the questions. And for the extent it's not around now, but have a little bit exception. So for the detail, I'm confessed I can't remember. It's rather details. So but if you want to get the information, you can go to into websites of TFAC. We can provide you, or you can email directly for the contacts for the emails to the TFAC. We can provide you from these details. So I'm sorry for it's rather detail for the details for the extent of the exceptions on this. Okay.
All right. For Miss Melanie, please you can access the website that was given by Mr. Terachai later. All right. So actually we have one question, one participant who will ask question live. But before we give a chance to the participant, I would like to ask Ms. No, if I am an ASEAN CPA and work in Vietnam, how much is it's a bit a hard question. How much is the estimated salary, and will it be able to cover the cost of living and taxes that I must pay? This is a question for Ms. Nong. I'm sorry. Ms. Nong, I'm sorry, you're still mute. This is from the Q&A session in Zoom.
And thank you for the yes, I also share that a lot of opportunity for professional CPA in other country in the region, especially the country is much higher development in profession compared to Vietnam, because compared with the Malaysia or Singapore or the Thailand, and we are also a little bit late informed for the IFRS, the adoption of internal auditor, and also the code of, the corporate governance. So there's a lot of opportunity for profession in the region to come to Vietnam. And I share with you that in Big Four, there are a lot of the foreigner from Malaysia and also from the Singapore to work with the Big Four firm and also the consulting firms in Vietnam. And also for the business for the accountant in business, they play as a chief officer, chief financial officers, and also the chief accountant. And we have a lot of Chan, it means that we open for the high expertise in the profession, and to come and to train and to practice and sharing the experience in Vietnam. So I think that with the new demand for the renovation of the profession in the apply the international accounting standard, and also the corporate governance. So I think that we can welcome and have a good opportunity to receive the ASEAN CPA in Vietnam. And you as I mentioned that we not require any license from the NAB or MOF for that kind of job. Only the work permits. And for the work permit, we also given priority to the expert in the profession. So I think that the high possibility to work in Vietnam. And about the cost of living, also.
This is the main questions about the cost of living.
Will it cover the cost of living?
And income as well, right?
Yeah.
Income, I think that if you work for the Big Four, the Big Four is on in the list about 100 enterprise is the best employer in Vietnam rankings. So I think that if you work for the accountancy profession, I think that you receive the high incomes in Vietnam compared to the other professions.
All right. Thank you for the insight from all of our speakers today. I think we have one participant who want to ask directly. Yeah. Who will be? It will be? Wait. Okay. So Miss Ira, can you please unmute yourself and show your video?
Okay, thank you, moderator, for the opportunity. So I got a lot of new information this morning from this webinar. Thanks for all the speaker, Dr. Nur Mazila, Professor Tei Raichai, and Miss Litai. So I wanna ask one question. Would that still be promising applying for an ASEAN CPA since the MRI only cover the bookkeeping profession or non-auditing? Is this profession highly demanded in all Asian countries, especially Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand? Thank you.
Ibu Ira, mungkin I will answer that, inshallah. So, okay, the MRA actually maybe just mention a few type of jobs like bookkeeping, but I think now we know that the accountancy professional, they are doing, they're not probably doing bookkeeping anymore, but they're more like trusted business advisors. Yeah. And so trusted business advisors, they can either working in firm or they can work in companies. And the one that is opt-out, that is not within the scope of the MRA, is being an auditor or the one who signed the audit report. So, but so if we understand the MRA very well, so if, for example, you would like to work as a CFO, most countries, I think those are not regulated, but unless you are in public listed, so some countries may regulate that. But in certain ASEAN member states, like for Vietnam, so Nung mentioned that, you know, you can work as a CFO being an ASEAN CPA in Vietnam. So this is where I think when we talk about ASEAN CPA, behind the birth of ASEAN CPA, there's a lot of hard work. I've been there, you know, being part of the ACPAC since 2015, where there's a lot of deliberation and hard work before we agreed with, you know, the statement. And before we all agreed with the ASEAN CPA. So the value of that is that this ASEAN CPA is not just, it does not, you know, happen just within short time. It has been like 6 years or probably 5 years of intense discussion within the ASEAN member states. And we also had a consultant in 2015 who actually gave out a report. I think that is within the grant that we received, that actually do an analysis of the qualification. So, so what does it mean? It means that this ASEAN CPA is something that has been thoroughly discussed, so it has value that come with it, and each of the monitoring committee also has actually gone through a lot of deliberation before they come with the membership statement. So, and to employers, so it's important. So how do we talk to employers about it? So employers need to be aware of this ASEAN CPA. When they are aware, of course, if within all the candidates, there would be a difference between those who have ASEAN CPA because you've gone through that deliberation and check, and those who does not have. For example, an employer in Malaysia received applications from 10 countries, so they would be more comfortable with those with ASEAN CPA because they know that this candidate has gone through checks, you know, and verifications in terms of their background and qualification. So that's the difference. Yep, maybe my colleagues, Dr. Terry or Ms. Noor,
Yes.
you want to have anything to add?
The answers from Dr. Noor is rather complete. So, so I think I agree and support Dr. Noor that the ASEAN CPA is not just the certificate, is the thing that can prove the capabilities of ASEAN CPA is a lot. So although the ASEAN CPA is not, it cannot work in some country in the ASEAN that in the regulated practices such as the auditors and bookkeeping, some country as the same as in Thailand as well. So, but I think the values of ASEAN CPA is very important and can be proved deliberately through the long term, as the Dr. Noor have said. So I think it can prove that it can increase the value by itself as the ASEAN CPA. So I think and have said in my session is that the ASEAN CPA is not just to like support traveling across the country, but can prove within the country as well. For example, the employers, a lot of employers have, if for my opinion is that if they have known about the process to approve ASEAN CPA and to become like the ASEAN CPA, I think they would recognize a lot on the ASEAN CPA. So it's not just the working across the ASEAN regions only. It will be proved and increased and enhanced about the qualifications of the accounting practices in ASEAN as well. Yeah, from my perception. How about thing, Ms. Noor?
Thank you very much to the participants and the speakers. I'm sorry, due to the technical obsolescence, allow me to take over and continue this session. The next question is from Anonymous. The question, how I can affiliate my accountant firm with accountant firm in ASEAN CPA member of country? To Mr. Letituye, Professor Terechai, and Dr. Nurmazila.
So can I first? Yes. So the question is that how to contract, right? Often, right, to the firm to firm in each country within the ASEAN region, right?
Yes, how I can affiliate my accountant firm with accountant firm in ASEAN CPA
so,
member country.
So it's a very good question. Is that so? For the ASEAN CPA, it's not just have them alone, themselves alone. So we're gonna have the accounting organizations, for example, Alpha. So now today we're gonna have work very hard to work with together very closely to try to to have the connectivity each other. So I think try to do like this. For I can read some example between the Thailand and Singapore, and now have the some campaign to link together about the practitioners among the countries. So this campaign is try to have to match together between Singapore firms and local Thailand accounting firms, something like this. So I think the connections or connectivity for each country is maybe can be supported by the Alpha as well. It will be better. So I think so. For my recommend that I would like all of you as an ASEAN CPA to have the join all of the events and follow up the events in various events, for example, from Alpha, from the APEX, or from the local accounting bodies. So it's going to have to help you and enhance connectivities among the countries or everything. So I think it's going to help you on this part. Yes.
Maybe I can also give a bit of knowledge on that, probably some answers. I think it's good to have affiliate in other ASEAN countries, because I think sometimes in certain countries, the firms have a different skill sets or a particular skill sets that can be extended to other countries. Yeah. So for example, firms in Malaysia or Indonesia may have the skill sets in terms of looking at Sharia auditing or Islamic auditing for Islamic-based transactions, and probably in that skill set can be extended to other countries as well within ASEAN. And in Malaysia, if you like to affiliate with firms in Malaysia, actually the name of the firms are all available on MIA website, and you can contact the firms and start talking with them. But apart from that, I think I also like to address the question from Pak Firman about that exercise or that process to be facilitated by government, which I think those are very good actually suggestion. So MIA, Malaysia Institute of Accountants, has done this, where we work together with our Matrade, Malaysian, I think we have Matrade under MITI, Malaysian that facilitate trade. And so even we are able to work with the Matrade to offer grant to the firms that would like to explore their operation overseas and collaborate with another firm overseas. So we do have Malaysian firms that collaborate with firms in Vietnam and collaborate with firms in Cambodia. I think we do have that, and they actually they share their skill sets. So in collaboration, normally we share the skill sets. So those skill sets that they can bring, and they are from the other country, and the other country can also share their skill sets. So that's what I think a very good collaboration can do. So we've had that, where we also had that with Cambodia, where we brought a few of Malaysian firms to Cambodia, and they start talking and they start getting to know better. So I think more of this initiative would be very good, so that the firms are aware of their counterpart in other countries, and then they can see how they can synergize. Synergize means 1 + 1 becomes 3. So they can work together and become better. So that synergy is, I think, very good for the ASEAN economy.
Okay, thank you very much for Ms. No, any additional comments?
Yes, and I share my thoughts that in Vietnam, the Ministry of Finance encouraged the accounting and auditing firm to join the network of the foreign accounting and auditing firm. And every year we have like the meeting around the CEO of the auditing firm, accounting firm, and sharing the information. How many firm member or join the network of the foreign firm. at this year, we have 19 accounting firm and auditing firm has the like the member firm with the foreign firm or correspondent or affiliate member. And like the Dr. Numazila mentioned, some of the firm in Vietnam joined the BDO network and the PKF. And I think that the benefit they get a lot because they serve the client, and also the quality control and education and CPD. I think that a lot of benefit for the firm. So from Vietnam, we encourage the firm to have the partnerships or affiliate with the foreign firm like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nu. Actually, I still have more questions from the participants. However, because we have limited time, I regret that we cannot answer all of the questions. From the presentation and discussion today, we can conclude that to be a successful ASEAN CPA, there are a lot of things we need to prepare. And just because the pandemic is still haunting us, it doesn't mean that you stop your effort to be your ASEAN CPA. It is still worth obtaining. And the three is about career opportunities. Okay, dear participants, to wrap up this session, I'll invite the speakers to deliver 1 minute closing statement. Start from Dr. Nurmazila.
I'm very pleased, and I would like to thank all participants that for listening to our conversation. And I would like also to advise a few points for key takeaways. First, there's a lot of opportunity in ASEAN. We are all, citizen of ASEAN, and we have to work together and collaborate to enhance the accountancy profession and to contribute to the betterment of ASEAN economy. And secondly, I would like to advise that all of us to enhance our skill set, get more knowledge, get more information, and collaborate better within ASEAN countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nur. Okay, next to Assistant Professor Terachai.
Okay, thank you. So I have 1 minute. So as I said, to be the successful of ASEAN CPA, we have to maintain the good connections. And for the skill, it's very important. So try to develop your skill, don't stop, and to increase your skill in every time and everywhere that you have the opportunities. And the last one, you choose can be the agile and to open your mind to everything. I think these are three main things that can help you to be the better and to be the good ASEAN CPA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next to Ms. Nu.
And for myself, and I also give my sincere thanks to the AMCI, and also the speaker and participant for this webinar. I think that is very useful information provided for the participant. And I think that become the ASEAN CPA is there also a lot of benefit for the holder, and not only for the personnel, but also for the whole country in the region. And I hope that we can share expertise and technical issue, and also the practice, the best practice to help the profession in Vietnam, also in the region, to support the growth of the economy in the region. So we can target the one vision of the ASEAN, one community and one identity. And thank you very much. And I hope that we will organize a lot of webinar among the AMS in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the speakers. Before closing the session of this webinar, I'd like to thank the participants who are following this webinar until the end. And thank you very much for your active participation and unwavering attention throughout the presentation and discussion. As the moderator of this webinar, I apologize if there are shortcomings and mistakes during our our webinar today. Let me inform you that the keyword of this webinar is ASEAN Chartered Professional Accountant. ASEAN Chartered Professional Accountant. Okay, this is the end of the webinar. Thank you very much to all the speakers with the excellent topics of accounting practice and the strategy to become a successful ASEAN CPA. Hopefully, it could give a new insight to all the participants. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is closing remark to be delivered by the head of AMCI. We kindly request Mr. Firmansyah and Nazaruddin, aka MSc CA, as the head of AMCI to deliver the speech and followed by launching the AMCI's new website and logo. For Mr. Firmansyah, time is yours.
Terima kasih, Ima. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm very happy attend this very excellent webinar. I believe all of you have been following this webinar, ASEAN CPA, great opportunities to succeed in ASEAN with great enthusiasm. It's my pleasure that we had a useful sharing and discussions. At this moment, I would like to express my appreciation to all speakers, Dr. Nurmazila Dato Mazan, Assistant Professor Karachai Arun Ruang, Sirilet, and Ms. Letai Tuyet Nung. I'm sure that all speakers have presented and shared very useful material about the accounting practices, career opportunities, and strategy to become a successful ASEAN CPA that could broaden our horizon and knowledge. I would like to thank to our participants who joined this seminar from all over the ASEAN member countries and to committees members for organizing this seminar very well, so the webinar can run smoothly. We apologize for any inconvenience that you might experience during this webinar. Furthermore, on behalf of Accountancy Monitoring Community Indonesia, I would like to inform you that AMCI is committed to providing excellent services to stakeholders. In order to improve our services to stakeholders, AMCI always pursues continuous improvements in various aspects, including developing the AMCI website, which you can access from www.amci.org, and rebranding the AMCI logo. We have developed a new AMCI website with some updates and improvements. Some of major updates on website are: one, redesign the website's appearance with simple and more modern theme. Second, edit search feature of applicants to track programs for status ASEAN CPA registration. Third, edit a search feature for non-applicants or public to search and check the list of ASEAN CPA holders from Indonesia. Fourth, edit pop-up notifications to some screen regarding the search menu information above to make it easier for visitors to be directed to search menu directly. We also reformed the AMCI logo with simpler and more modern theme. The philosophies carried in the logo are: first, the basic shape of the logo is typography of AMCI letters, which is assembled like a roof or triangle. The roof shows AMCI as a shelter for ASEAN CPA holders from Indonesia to take part in ASEAN, and triangle symbolizes its dynamic nature. Second, the red roof as part of Rises Upwards shows AMCI's commitment to provide the best service and growth in the world of accountancy in Indonesia through AMCI. Third, primary colors used in the logo is inspired by Indonesian flag. The red color symbolizes courage and also means tenacity and assertiveness in facing for various challenges. Finally, on this occasion, I would like to introduce the new AMCI website and logo through the following video. Thank you for your attention. Please enjoy the video and on our AMCI logo and website launching. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Firman, for the closing remarks. Dear audience, please give a virtual applause for the AMCI's new website and logo. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we get to the last session in this event that is closing. May what we had conducted will be useful for us. On behalf of the committees, I'd like to say thank you very much for your attention and deliver apology for any inconvenience in organizing this webinar. Someone ever said that success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. So let's make it happen by starting our preparation right now, because ASEAN is waiting for us. Stay safe, stay healthy, have a great day, and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Firman, all the speakers, all the panelists.
Bye-bye.
Selamat sukses, AMCI.
Mbak Eni, makasih banyak.
Makasih, Weni.
Makasih Pak Firman, Mas Ari,
Makasih,
Mbak
Bu Eli.
Weni, semuanya.
kembali.